Welcome to all the classic car enthusiasts. I've just done another video tonight. We've been working on my E-Type Jaguar doing the valve clearances. Now that's all done. The next job will be basically getting the shims from in the UK and obviously new rocker cover gaskets and so on. There is a few jobs to do this year on the E-Type before we retest it. Unfortunately, the track rod end rubbers, which seems to be a common problem with all cars, the rubber gaiters always seem to go before the ball joints are damaged, the mechanical point of them. So that's quite a few jobs on the E-Type to be done. The XK, we started it up today. We had a bit of a problem initially with the clutch, and then I managed to drive it out of the garage and get it back in, but I'd overlooked the diff oil in the back, the EP90 we need for the back, so I had to get it tomorrow. And we'll also be, this week, we'll be doing quite a bit of work on the track day car because we have some bits and pieces for it now. I've got one thing I definitely wanted to mention. I've got it here up on my screen. There's a channel called BoredAT50, it's uppercase B, B-O-R-E-D, at, but not at in the colon, and A-T in uppercase, in capital letters, AT at 50, BoredAT50. He's only got about 10 or 12 videos up. I think he's been going about 4 or 5 months. At the moment they've got 24 subscribers. They've got 2 minis and they're trying to get a mini built for the 2020 London to Brighton run. So please go over and have a look, and I try to help people when they've got a lower amount. I think once people have 300 or 400 people watching, they don't need help. But this guy's got, as I say, it's 24 subs, and the subs mean nothing. It's views that mean something when you're making videos. Anyway, so and lastly, for any of the guys on the YouTube, on the WhatsApp group that I'm in, I'm a technophobe when it comes to electronic stuff, computers. And it annoys me when they start changing things around and updating and all that. And I was given enough warning, but stupidly I let it go. And so what's happened now is my iPhone won't operate WhatsApp. So the WhatsApp, I have to go down tomorrow, find some computer young guy who can whiz it through and get it back on. Obviously the WhatsApp's still in there, but I can't now get to it because it needs upgrading. I'm sure there's plenty of other people out there like me, and I'm sure there's a lot of younger people saying, well, but how difficult is that to do from iTunes or whatever. But anyway, it is what it is. So I hope you enjoy this little bit of the video. As I say, we're only putting them up once a week now, and yeah, it's a bit of Jag and a bit of Mini in there. So I hope you enjoy it. Bye for now. So this is the RPM generator out of the back of the camshaft. You can see this is where the cam goes into it, which turns it, obviously generates power to the RPM. And this is on the back of the cam and the back of the cylinder head. This was very difficult to get this bottom one out. And Amir came up with an ingenious solution to it. And this is a good tip for anybody trying to get one of these off when the engine's installed, because the bulkhead is extremely tight here on the back. And to try and use something like an Allen key where the shank is too long, you just can't turn it. You can't get it in properly, and you can't turn it, and you can't even use a ratchet because the ratchet's too long into the back of the bulkhead. So what he came up with, which is ingenious, is there's one of the screws. So he used a piece, a torque piece, and then used a brake spanner from a Mini. There you go, that's the idea of having 2 different cars. Brake spanner from a Mini, and that fits perfectly on there. Hopefully you can see that. Fits perfectly on there. Obviously the open ender is for the brake, and this is for the nipples. And you can see that fits absolutely perfectly. And having that on the inside, so obviously you couldn't put it on that way because of the shank. Because you had it on the inside like that, it worked perfectly. There was enough room to get it off. That's a good tip. You can use a brake spanner and a Torx bit to take it out. So that being said, let me just show you what we're up to. So now, I've actually, you might have heard some voice in the background, that's Max and Amir putting in the wiring loom in the Red Mini, which you'll see at some other point. So, obviously I've taken all the shims out of here and checked every one of them. They are actually numbered, they're in such good condition they're numbered. So what I'm going to do now is I'll put the plugs back in so that no crap goes into the cylinders. What I'm going to do now is just lay the camshafts in, the rocker covers over the top, and just to stop anything falling into the engine while I'm away in the UK, because obviously I'll go to S&G Barrett and get all these new shims. So the way I did it was I made these spots up like this, which obviously is the cylinder. So this is the inlet side, this is the exhaust side, and then I've got the original numbers inside and what I found on the out. So what I have to do now is work out what size shims we have to put in to make it 6 on the exhaust and 4 on the inlet. And strangely enough, on the XK, on the 6K at the side of me, which we just got running tonight, so there's a bit smoky in here, you'll know why. They're actually 4 and 8 on the exhaust, which is strange, but I guess it's the bore size. So there we go. So each one of these cam caps are numbered. You'll see V8, so obviously this is number 8 here, and so on and so forth. You can obviously, you know that's the back one because you can see where the seal goes in for the rocker on the back. And it says number 5. If you look on the head, it'll say number 5. So even if you get them messed up, as long as you've got these numbers on them when you take them off, so you can see that's number 6. That's obviously there. And you can see V6, and they should be uppermost.
If you have time, you can look there.
And this is V7.
Yeah.
So as I say, what I'll do now is I'll put the cam in, just to keep it out of the way, and put the rockers over the top of them, and then button it up for the next couple of weeks until I come back from the UK. So, put the cam tops back on, put the plugs back in just to stop anything, because it's another week before I leave for UK and a week while I'm there, so maybe a couple of weeks. So they're not on completely, obviously the cams are not been pressed down. So we'll cover it up and see it in a couple of weeks time when I've got all the new shims. See the wiring harnesses in now. One of the things I do have to buy is a fuel shutoff for the petrol pump, which I'll buy when I'm in the UK. But the main harness is in and it all works. We've just got to finish up the dashboard. That's another job. And on the XK, we actually got it to this position by driving it out. It was actually sitting over there where the beige Mini is, the beige Cooper is. We had to pull it across with a jack, but we got it running quite well. And the other thing with this is it's got automatic chokes on it. You can't see very well, but it's got automatic chokes on it, which I'll show you. We had a bit of problems with the clutch initially, and then just as I was about to take it round the corner, I wanted to check the diff, and the diff oil needs completely topping up, so I'll have to get that tomorrow before we can move it again. But it's running under its own power. Still got a problem with the brakes locking up a little bit. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that, focus. Still got the brakes are still locking up a little bit, but you can see how we've put the fuel line in on the side here. Yeah, battery's in place. Got it onto the ignition now so you can start it. And the fan works. We can put the fan on permanently at the moment because we haven't set it up properly yet. And it's got water in it. Oh, it's got Evans coolant in it, and doesn't seem to have any leaks at the moment. So there we go. That's it. And it's time to shut up. So it's nice having hot water, eh?
Yeah, lovely.
So we even have hot water in here. In fact, it gets too bloody hot sometimes. You have to be careful with it. So this is our cleaning up area. So there we are. So things have changed around again a little bit in here. So when I get back, we can get this one finished up, and we'll be working on the track day car now. I've got some bearings and bits and pieces. There's the dashboard for the red Mini. So yeah, but there's a bit of welding to do. So what we're going to do is get all this. It's better to weld up here. It's not so. I'll just turn these overhead lights on because it makes a big difference. There we go. So there's the dashboard for it. Be a bit careful with these clocks. But hang on a second. And bulbs. But you can see it's a really there's the plastic front. You can see it's a really nice dash on that. It's gonna be nice when it's all done, all Smiths. What it was, we had a broken back clock, so that's got them fixed up. And hopefully we're going to start this week on doing the drop bearing for the steering shaft. We've got an extra length steering shaft in it now, so we'll put the seat back in and then put it all in and just see where everything needs to be to make it comfortable for everybody. There we go. So full up again, and things have just moved around. Anyway, on that note, as usual, stay safe, keep the faith, enjoy your hobby, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.